In 2019, I posted a video of a Bigfoot speaking clear English into my trail camera, and within 48 hours, I lost my career, my reputation, and nearly my life savings fighting the people who wanted it buried. Three hikers just went missing in that exact same location, and I finally have proof that everything I captured was real. And the reason it was covered up has nothing to do with protecting the public from panic. But here's what keeps me up at night. If this creature has been warning people away from danger for years, what exactly is it trying to protect us from? My name is Marcus Webb, and 5 years ago, I captured something on camera that destroyed my entire life. The video lasted exactly 43 seconds. In those 43 seconds, you could see a creature walk up to my trail camera, lean down, and look right into the lens. Then it spoke. Not growls or grunts, actual words. Clear English words that came out in a deep voice that made the tiny speaker in my camera buzz. Leave. Danger here. That was it. 2 sentences. Then it turned and walked back into the trees. I was a wildlife biologist back then. I had spent 3 years studying elk migration patterns in the forests of southern Oregon. I had 12 cameras set up across 100 square miles of wilderness. This camera was supposed to catch elk moving through a narrow valley between two ridges. Instead, it caught something that would rip my whole world apart. When I first watched the footage on my laptop in my office, my hands started shaking. I played it 5 times in a row. Each time, the creature looked more real. It was huge, maybe 7 feet tall, covered in dark brown hair that was matted with bits of leaves and dirt. The shoulders were wider than any man I had ever seen. The arms hung long, reaching past where its knees would be. But it was the face that got me. You could see intelligence there, the way it tilted its head while looking at the camera, the way its eyes focused. This was not some dumb animal. This was something that thought, something that understood what a camera was, something that wanted to give a warning. I should have kept it to myself, I know that now. But at the time, I thought I had proof of something amazing. I thought the world needed to see this. I uploaded the video to my university account and shared it with 3 colleagues I trusted. By the next morning, one of them had leaked it online. By noon, it had 10,000 views. By that evening, it had passed 1 million. The comments section exploded. Half the people said it was the most incredible thing they had ever seen. The other half screamed fake. By the end of the week, the video had 50 million views across every platform you could think of. Then the experts showed up. A special effects artist from Los Angeles did a frame-by-frame breakdown on his channel. He said you could see the zipper on the costume if you looked close enough. I looked. There was no zipper. A voice analyst said the audio was clearly computer-generated. She said no biological throat could make sounds in that exact frequency range. But I had the raw file. I had the metadata. I had the camera itself with the footage still stored on the memory card. None of that mattered. A digital forensics company released a report saying the video showed signs of manipulation. They said the timestamp had been edited. They said the creature's movements did not match natural physics. I read that report 3 times and could not understand half of what they were claiming. It felt like they had decided what they wanted to find and then worked backward to prove it. My university called me into a meeting. They sat me down in a conference room with cream-colored walls and 2 bright lights. The department head told me the video was bringing unwanted attention to the school. Parents were calling, donors were concerned. They said I could either admit it was a hoax I created for attention or face termination for conduct unbecoming of a researcher. I refused to lie. They fired me that afternoon. My access card stopped working before I even made it to my car. The local news picked up the story. They did not interview me. They interviewed the experts who said it was fake. They showed clips of people in bad gorilla costumes at Halloween stores. They made jokes. One anchor actually laughed on camera while showing my video. That laugh felt like a punch to the stomach. I stopped going outside, stopped answering my phone. My savings ran out after 4 months. I took a job stocking shelves at a grocery store at night when no one would recognize me. That was 5 years ago. I live in a small apartment now. I work that same night shift. Most days I try not to think about the video or what I lost. But 3 days ago, everything changed. I was scrolling through news on my phone during my lunch break when I saw the headline. 3 hikers missing in southern Oregon wilderness. I almost scrolled past it. Then I saw the photo. It showed a map with a red circle marking the search area. My chest went tight. I zoomed in on the map. I had spent 3 years in those woods. I knew every ridge and valley. The red circle was centered on the exact spot where my camera had been. The exact spot where the creature had given its warning. Leave, danger here. The article said the hikers had not been seen in 48 hours. Their car was found at a trailhead. Their last known location came from a GPS ping on one of their phones before the signal died. The coordinates were listed in the article. I grabbed a pen and wrote them down on a napkin. When I got home that morning, I pulled out my old research files from a box in my closet. I found my maps. I found my camera logs. I checked the coordinates against my records. The hiker's last ping was less than 300 feet from where my camera had captured that footage. 300 feet. I sat on my floor surrounded by old papers and maps, and my hands started shaking again, just like they had 5 years ago. That creature had stood in front of my camera and said, "Danger here." Now 3 people were missing from that exact spot. What if it had been telling the truth? What if the warning was real? And if it was real, what kind of danger was it warning about? I went to work that night but could not focus. Every time I stocked a shelf, my mind went back to those coordinates, to that warning, to 3 missing people. When my shift ended at 6 in the morning, I drove home in the gray light and found a package sitting outside my apartment door. It was a padded envelope, brown and plain, no return address, just my name written in black marker. My stomach dropped. Nobody sends me mail anymore. I picked it up and felt something hard inside, something rectangular. I went inside and locked the door behind me. My hands shook as I tore open the envelope. Inside was a USB drive. Nothing else. No note, no explanation. Just a plain black thumb drive that looked like you could buy it at any store. I turned it over in my fingers. Someone knew where I lived. Someone knew about the hikers. Someone wanted me to see what was on this drive. I plugged it into my laptop and waited. The drive contained one folder. Inside that folder were 8 video files. Each one was named with a date and timestamp. The oldest file was from 7 years ago, 2 years before my camera caught that footage. The newest was from 3 months ago. I clicked on the oldest file. The video quality was grainy. It looked like phone camera footage. Someone was hiking through the forest. You could hear their footsteps crunching on leaves. You could hear them breathing hard from the climb. Then the camera swung around and there it was. The same creature, same size, same dark hair. It stood between 2 trees about 20 feet away. The person filming said something I could not quite hear. Then the creature spoke. "Not safe, go back." The voice was deep and rough, but the words were clear. The video cut off. I sat there staring at the black screen. That was not my camera. That was not my location. Someone else had captured this thing speaking. Someone else had heard the warning. I opened the second file. Different location, different time of day. You could tell because the light was more golden, like late afternoon. This footage showed 2 hikers walking on a narrow trail. The camera bounced as they walked. One of them was talking about camping spots. Then the creature stepped out from behind a massive tree trunk. Both hikers stopped. You could hear one of them gasp. The creature raised one long arm and pointed back the way they had come. "Men with guns," 3 words in that same deep voice. Then it turned and walked away. The hikers did not follow. The video ended. I went through all 8 videos. Each one showed the same pattern. Hikers in the forest. The creature appearing. A warning in simple English. "Not safe, go back, danger here." Men with guns. The words changed slightly, but the message was always the same. "Get out of this area. Leave now." And every single video had been taken in Southern Oregon. I checked the dates again. They were spread across 7 years. This thing had been warning people for at least that long. Maybe longer. I grabbed my notebook and started writing down everything I could see. The locations when I could tell. The dates. The exact words used. Then I did something I had not done in 5 years. I started digging through old news articles. It took me 3 hours, but I found what I was looking for. 4 years ago, 2 hikers went missing in the same general area for 36 hours. When they were found, They were confused and could not remember where they had been. 3 years ago, a man vanished for 2 full days. He turned up walking along a road with no memory of how he got there. 6 years ago, a college student disappeared and was found 48 hours later, claiming she had gotten lost but could not explain why she had traveled 8 miles in the wrong direction. Every single case happened after someone went into that part of the forest. Every single person came back alive but confused. And now 3 more hikers were missing from that exact spot. My phone buzzed. I nearly jumped out of my chair. It was a news alert. The missing hikers' families were speaking to reporters. I clicked the link and watched the video. A woman with red eyes stood in front of microphones. She was the mother of one of the hikers. She held up her phone. She said her son had sent her a video 2 hours before he stopped responding to messages. She asked the reporters to share it, to help find her boy. The news played the clip. It showed forest, trees, a backpack on the ground. You could hear the hikers talking. One of them was saying something about setting up camp. Then in the background, so clear it made my breath catch, you could hear that voice. Leave. Danger here. The same voice from my video. The same voice from the USB drive. The exact same tone and rhythm. One of the hikers in the video said, "Did you hear that?" and the clip ended. I replayed it 6 times. That voice was real. Other people were hearing it. Other people were recording it. This was not one hoax. This was not me in a costume. This was real, and it had been happening for years. I thought about the linguist who had analyzed my audio 5 years ago, the one who said no throat could make those sounds. She had been wrong, or she had lied. I needed someone who would actually look at this without bias. Someone who studied language and speech patterns. Someone who had no reason to protect anyone. It took me until noon, but I found her, Dr. Sarah Chen. She taught linguistics at a university in Seattle. Her research focused on how humans learn to speak and how language develops. I sent her an email with 3 of the video files attached. I did not explain much. I just said I needed an expert opinion on vocal patterns. I hit send and then sat back and waited. She replied 4 hours later. Her email was short. These recordings are extraordinary. The voice shows consistency across different dates that would be nearly impossible for multiple people to fake. "Can we talk?" I called her immediately. We spoke for 90 minutes. She told me she had analyzed the frequency patterns, the pronunciation, the rhythm. Everything matched. It was either the same speaker across all 3 videos, or someone had spent years training different people to sound exactly the same. And nobody does that, she said. Nobody goes to that much trouble for a hoax that never makes money. This is either real or it is the most elaborate fake in history. Which do you think it is? I told her I thought it was real. I told her about my video from 5 years ago, about losing my job, about the 3 missing hikers. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "If this creature has been warning people for 7 years, what exactly is it warning them about?" If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe. I don't want you missing out on tomorrow's new Bigfoot story. Thanks for watching. Dr. Chen called me back the next morning. Her voice sounded different, tight, like she had not slept much. "I found something," she said. "I need you to look into a company called Cascade Timber Holdings. They own the land where your camera went. They own most of that valley." I wrote the name down on the back of an old receipt. "Why does that matter?" I asked. "Because the 3 experts who debunked your video all received payments from them in the same month your footage went viral." She had done a deep dive into public records, tax documents, business filings. All 3 people who went on television to call my video a fake had been paid consultants for Cascade Timber Holdings. The special effects guy got $15,000. The voice analyst got $22,000. The forensics company got $45,000. All of it labeled as consulting fees for land assessment work. I felt something cold spread through my chest. "Why would a logging company care about my video?" I asked. "That is what you need to find out," she said. I spent the rest of that day searching everything I could find about Cascade Timber Holdings. They were a medium-sized operation. Not huge, but not small either. They had been around for 30 years. Mostly they cut trees and sold lumber. Normal business. But then I found the permits. 3 years ago, they had applied for special permission to do mineral surveys on their land. The area they wanted to survey was the exact valley where my camera had been, where the hikers were now missing. The permit application mentioned magnetic anomalies detected by satellite. It mentioned possible rare earth mineral deposits. Those are metals used in phones and computers and batteries. They are worth a lot of money. The permit was denied. The Forest Service said no because that land bordered protected wilderness areas. But I kept digging. 6 months ago, Cascade Timber had applied again. This time they wanted to lease the land to the federal government for national security purposes. The application was still pending. I sat back in my chair and stared at my screen. They wanted to mine that valley. They needed the government to approve it, and my video showing a speaking creature in that exact spot would have complicated everything. If people thought there was an undiscovered species living there, environmental groups would have swarmed the place. Scientists would have demanded protection. The whole area could have been locked down for years. So they paid people to make my video go away. They destroyed my reputation so nobody would look too closely at that forest. I was so angry my hands were shaking. But I needed more proof. I needed something solid. I posted in some online groups asking if anyone knew about Cascade Timber or had information about that area. Most responses were useless. But one message came through late that night. It was from someone who said their grandfather lived near the forest. He was part of the Tacoma tribe. He had stories about that valley. The message included a phone number. I called it the next morning. An older man answered. His voice was gravelly and slow. He said his name was Robert. He said his grandfather had passed 2 years ago but had told him things before he died. Things about the Guardians. Robert asked me to meet him at a diner in a small town called Prospect. It was an hour drive. I got there at noon and found him waiting in a corner booth. He was maybe 70 with deep lines around his eyes and gray hair pulled back. He did not shake my hand. He just nodded and told me to sit. I ordered coffee I did not drink. He told me his grandfather had been a keeper of stories. The old knowledge that got passed down. One of those stories was about the Guardians, tall beings who lived deep in the mountains. They protected certain places, sacred places where the earth held power, places that should not be disturbed. The Guardians did not hurt people, Robert said. They warned them. If someone wandered too close to a protected place, the Guardians would appear and tell them to leave. If the person did not listen, the Guardians would hide them until the danger passed. Then they would let them go. What danger? I asked. He looked at me for a long time. Bad men, he said. Men who want to take from the earth. Men who bring machines and explosives. The Guardians protect the people from walking into those situations. They move them somewhere safe and keep them there until the bad men leave. I thought about the missing people, the ones who came back confused after 2 days. The 3 hikers who are out there right now. You are saying this creature hides people to protect them, I asked. Robert nodded. They warn first. If you do not listen, they take you somewhere safe. A cave maybe, somewhere hidden. They bring you food. They watch over you. Then when it is safe, they guide you back. I pulled out my phone and showed him my video, the one that had destroyed my life. He watched it twice. Then he looked up at me with something like sadness in his eyes. Your guardian was trying to help you, he said, trying to warn anyone who saw that camera. But you did not understand. I felt something break open inside me. I had spent 5 years thinking that creature had ruined everything. 5 years angry and bitter. But what if Robert was right? What if it had been trying to protect people? Protect them from what? I asked. He shrugged. Whatever is in that valley that the bad men want. My grandfather said the earth there is old, powerful. Taking from it would be like cutting out your own heart. I drove back to my apartment and could not stop thinking. The creature was not dangerous. It was a protector. And Cascade Timber had buried my video because it would have exposed what they were planning. I needed to prove it. I needed to show people what was really happening. I searched for current satellite images of that valley. It took me hours, but I found a service that had recent pictures from 2 weeks ago. I zoomed in on the coordinates. What I saw made my stomach drop. There were new roads cut into the forest. Roads that went right into the restricted area. I could see vehicle tracks, equipment. They were already surveying illegally, already preparing. The government had not even approved their permit yet, but they were moving forward anyway. I downloaded every image I could find. I matched them against older satellite photos from 6 months ago. You could see the difference clearly. New disturbances in the forest, New clearings. They were not supposed to be there. Nobody was supposed to be there, but Cascade Timber was breaking the rules because they thought nobody was watching. I thought about those 3 missing hikers, about the creature's warning. Danger here, men with guns. What if the danger was not the creature? What if the danger was the people working for the logging company? People who did not want witnesses to their illegal work. The Guardian had been trying to warn the hikers away. When they did not listen, had it taken them somewhere safe? Hidden them, like Robert said? My phone rang. It was Dr. Chen. They found the hikers, she said. I need you to hear what they are saying. The search and rescue team found the 3 hikers at dawn on the 4th day. They were inside a cave system that most maps did not even show. All 3 were alive, confused, dehydrated, but not hurt. The news broke while I was on the phone with Dr. Chen. She read me the quotes from the first responders. The hikers kept saying someone carried them. Someone big. Someone who hid them in the dark and brought them berries and kept them safe. The reporters were already calling it shock, saying the hikers were not thinking clearly. But I knew better. The Guardian had done exactly what Robert said it would. It had hidden them until the danger passed. The press conference happened that afternoon. All 3 hikers sat at a table with microphones in front of them. They looked tired but okay. The first one to speak was a young woman with blonde hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Her name was Amanda. She said they had been hiking off trail looking for a good camping spot. They heard something that sounded like machinery in the distance. Heavy equipment, maybe. They got curious and walked toward the sound. That was when they saw the cables. Thick steel cables stretched between trees at ankle height, hidden under leaves. Amanda said they almost walked right into one. Then something grabbed her pack and pulled her backward. She turned and it was there. The creature, taller than any person, covered in dark hair. It made a sound, a word. She said it sounded like danger. The second hiker was a man named Kyle. He was shaking a little as he spoke. He said the creature did not hurt them. It grabbed their arms gently and started pulling them away from the cables. They were too scared to resist. It led them through the forest for what felt like miles. At some point, Kyle tried to run. He got maybe 10 steps before the creature caught up to him and picked him up like he weighed nothing. Just lifted him off the ground and kept walking. They ended up at a cave entrance. The creature pushed them inside. Not rough, just firm, like a parent putting a child in timeout. It stayed at the entrance, blocking it. Every few hours it would bring them things. Berries, some kind of root vegetables they did not recognize. Water dripping from moss it squeezed in its huge hands. The third hiker spoke last. Her name was Jessica. She said on the second night she woke up and heard voices outside the cave. Men, talking about checking the southern perimeter. One of them said something about motion sensors. Another one laughed and said, "Nobody comes out here anyway." Jessica tried to call out, but the creature turned and looked at her, put one finger to its lips, the same gesture humans use. Shh. The men passed by without seeing the cave. When they were gone, the creature relaxed. That was when Jessica understood. It was not keeping them prisoner. It was keeping them safe. I watched that press conference 3 times. Then I made a decision. I gathered every piece of evidence I had, my original video, the 8 videos from the USB drive, the satellite images showing illegal roads, the payment records linking the experts to Cascade Timber Holdings, Dr. Chen's analysis of the voice patterns. Everything. I created a folder and uploaded it to every platform I could think of. YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, Facebook. I wrote one caption. 5 years ago, I lost everything for sharing this footage. Now you can see why they wanted it buried. The truth is not that Bigfoot is real. The truth is that something has been trying to protect us and we were not listening. The response was instant. Within an hour, the folder had been downloaded 10,000 times. Within 3 hours, it was trending on every social media platform. News outlets started picking it up. But this time, the story was different. This time, they were not calling me a hoaxer. They were asking questions about Cascade Timber Holdings, about the illegal surveying, about why a logging company had paid people to discredit my footage. An environmental law group filed an emergency injunction to stop all work in that valley. The Forest Service announced they were launching an investigation. By that evening, federal agents were on site. They found the cables Kyle had mentioned, steel traps designed to catch large animals, cameras hidden in trees, survey equipment, all of it illegal, of it sitting on land that Cascade Timber did not have permission to touch. The story exploded. Major networks covered it. The focus shifted from, is Bigfoot real, to what was this company hiding? People were not arguing about costumes anymore. They were talking about corporate corruption, about environmental protection, about indigenous stories that had been ignored. The narrative flipped. The creature in my video was not a monster. It was a guardian trying to warn people away from danger. The hikers who had been hidden in the cave went on talk shows. They said the same thing over and over. It saved us. It protected us. If we had walked into those traps, we could have been seriously hurt. It knew. Somehow it knew, and it kept us safe until help came. 2 weeks after I released everything, I came home from my night shift to find another package outside my door. Same brown envelope, same black marker, writing my name. My heart started pounding. I brought it inside and opened it carefully. Another USB drive. This one had a single video file on it. The timestamp showed it was recorded just 3 days ago. I clicked play. The footage was shaky at first, someone walking through forest, then the camera steadied. It was pointed at a small clearing. Morning light came through the trees in pale beams, and there it was. The guardian, standing in the center of the clearing. It looked directly at the camera, directly at whoever was filming. Its eyes were dark and clear, intelligent. It took a breath and you could see its massive chest rise and fall. Then it spoke. The voice was that same deep rumble that had played through my trail camera 5 years ago. But this time the words were different. Thank you, friend. 4 syllables, clear as anything. Then it turned and walked back into the shadows between the trees. The video ended. I sat there with tears running down my face. It knew. Somehow it knew what I had done, that I had told the truth, that I had protected its home. Dr. Chen called me an hour later. She had seen everything blow up online. She asked how I was doing. I told her about the video, about those final words. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said some truths get buried not because they aren't lies, but because they are inconvenient. You made an inconvenient truth impossible to ignore. The government declared that valley a protected research area 3 days later. Cascade Timber Holdings faced multiple federal charges. Their permit application was permanently denied. And somewhere in those mountains, in that ancient forest, a guardian walks, still watching, still protecting, still trying to keep us safe from the dangers we create for ourselves. My video has been viewed over 200 million times now, but I do not care about the numbers. I care that people finally understand. The scariest monsters are not the ones hiding in the forest. They are the ones wearing suits and signing papers and destroying what they do not understand. And sometimes the things we fear the most are actually trying to save us.